Hello and welcome to Out in the Wash. Welcome to episode 8. How are we on episode 8? That's mad. I have moved rooms today because my back was absolutely killing where I was recording previously, so I'm sitting in a kind of proper chair. So if the sound is off, I do apologise. You may hear me moving the mic around a bit. I'll try not to. So yes, episode 8, Out in the Wash. Welcome to everything EastEnders, Emmerdale and Coronation Street. We'll be talking Ravi's mental health crisis in EastEnders, Bear's also struggling in Emmerdale, and Bernie is framed for a crime that she did not do in Coronation Street. So let's get on with EastEnders. Okay, so I will open up with Ravi. So we didn't really see much of him last week, but this week we've definitely focused more on Nuggets, how Nuggets dealing with his recent epilepsy diagnosis and what that's doing to Ravi, because obviously we know that Ravi was the reason that he's developed epilepsy after his attack on him. So he's still holding that guilt. He's also still working as an informant for Jack and also working for the gang to inform on, along with Mark Fowler Jr. So one of them is bringing him in money, but the police work isn't, but that's keeping him out of prison and sort of keeping him with his family. But he knows that the gang are looking for the rat, so to speak. So that's all weighing down on him. He can't see a way out. He can't tell one he doesn't want to do it and the other will be absolutely fine with that. That's not going to happen. And, you know, I think he misses the stability that the restaurant gave him. Although he was able to do his dodgy dealings out of that restaurant and launder his money through it, it was still something that grounded him as the family man that he wants to be, someone who isn't involved in this sort of thing all the time. So there is that for him, but he hasn't got that at the minute. And then so he's doing all of his domestic stuff, finds that Nugget's left behind his pills, but Nugget already knows he's left behind his pills, and he's told his mates, yeah, I'll be fine, I'll just take it later. That's not going to happen, Nugget. You're going to have a seizure, which he does in McClunky's. Denzel thankfully sorts him out. I'm mad about this because I'm mad that Will thought it was okay to film. Will, of all people. I thought something would come back on that Ravi would find out and dangle him from the bridge like he did to Barney. Whether that will, especially, I'm hugely disappointed that they've chosen to do that to Will with a sister like he has. You're not a boy anymore, Will. You're nearly a man. You need to do better. And EastEnders, you need to address that as well, that it was him. You could have had any random kid, but Will, okay, right. So Nugget ends up wetting himself in McClunky's in full view of everyone and the internet, it seems. Denzel helps him out, gets him to gets him home, but Ravi kind of misses them. He's just round the corner, he's about to go on a job, but he ends up missing them. So that preys on his guilt as well, that he's not been there for his son to help. And it just gets worse and worse. And then Priya's asked him to she's asked him to pick up Nugget's prescription. So they go get that together, Nugget and Ravi. And there's a problem. There's a locum pharmacist. He can't find it. It's been put somewhere it shouldn't have done. He thinks it is there, but he hasn't got the time to look for it, which, it's not great. And then it's also doubly not great that this guy left the keys in the door, allowing Ravi to lock the door, lock everyone inside, which unfortunately included Denise and B. Jeez. I mean, the best thing he said to her was to shut up. We all feel that, Ravi. We really, really do. But he's kind of holding everyone hostage, not through any weapon or anything like that, but just his general demeanour. He's locked the door. Everyone's stuck in there. No phones. Take them off. But he forgets to take Denise's off. Anyway, he goes through all the drugs on the shelf. He can't find it, and he collapses. It's like, this is my fault, this is my fault, this is my fault. But obviously Nugget doesn't understand. What do you mean it's your fault? Like, nothing's really clicking for him. Like, which I suppose it wouldn't, but it's not really. So they finally found them, and at that point Denise has managed to get hold of Jack, who just happens to be walking past the burger stall, like the Bat van, just at that point. Okay, right. Jeez, I get it, EastEnders, but you just make things, it's just too obvious. He was just walking past at that point. So they all go round to the chemist. Everyone gets out. Ravi goes home. Jack manages to like make sure it doesn't go any further, even though B's like, you need to press charges and I'll submit a statement, everything like that. So, shush. We're dealing with this. Let the adults deal with it. Shush. I wonder what she was there for. Whether there's more to her prescription than meets. I wonder what it was. Yeah, I did think about that. Anyway, so Ravi gets off, but everything is just praying down, and he ends up kind of hurting himself, not as badly as he has been doing, but attacking himself in front of Priya. And I think at that point it is shown, like he can't mask this anymore in front of her. This is what's happening to him, and it's going to be down to Priya, I guess, to get him help. Which is, I wonder how long EastEnders are going to move on with this, keep this going, because this feels like a peak moment. Yeah. It's been, Aaron's done it so much justice. Fully believable. Really good. I thought EastEnders had some great scripts this week. Some great Lauren Clee scripts. Great to see new stuff from Chloe Timmins. Like, yeah. We're getting somewhere. Some of it is a bit too, that was really obvious that was going to happen, but we're getting there. So alongside dealing with Nugget, Denzel's also trying to sort of fix Patrick's grief. Now, Denzel, that's not, you don't need to. Like, Patrick is a grown man. He's an old man. You don't need to fix everyone. I think this comes from deep inside Denzel, that everyone needs to be okay and happy and fixed, and that's not what happens. Like, it's not been that long for Patrick, so he just needs to sit with his grief, have his family around him. But Denzel speaks to Tommy, because Tommy's sort of invited back into the fold of the friendship group, and Tommy says, what about AI? Because Tommy is a Jeff Bezos of Wolford. He's like, try AI. Yeah, because it really worked out for you, Tommy, didn't it? Like, But Denzel goes along with it, sets up a whole profile for kind of Anthony, puts his voice in, tells him everything about him. I don't know how much Denzel knows. You've been here 5 minutes, and this isn't the Anthony of 20 years ago. Like, it'll be interesting to see what this AI version of Anthony is, whether it's the up-to-date version or the 20 years ago version, or a bit of both, or nothing like that at all. But he manages to persuade Patrick to come speak to this AI Anthony on the phone. First off, he's completely like weirded out by it and won't go anywhere near it. And he's like, no. And I'm totally with Yolandi on this. This is too much. Her faith gets in the way of this, quite rightly, for the character's behalf. I'm not saying faith's the right thing, but for that character, that's holding her back on it. Obviously this isn't going to end well. This is never going to end well. This is EastEnders. Will it help Patrick in the long run? I doubt it. Denzel, this is too much even for you. Where is everybody else? That house is normally full of people. Are we just going to see Howie at random events, or is he going to try and make amends with Kim? He came to the funeral. There was no, Kim seemed grateful that he'd turned up. So is there going to be more with that? What's going on there? Because Denzel's just living there, but his dad's not there. It's bizarre. Like, yeah. So yeah, Patrick's grief. And I suppose one of the biggest ones, apart from Ravi this week, was the Callum, Johnny, Tim sort of dilemma going on. As soon as that envelope dropped in Callum's hands, I knew it wasn't from Ben. And no one thought to check. No one thought, just pay a quick visit, quick phone call, say, is this legit? Because, yeah, he would have been able to go, no, yeah. They would have been able to tell, surely. Ben's not this great mastermind of crime. It was credit card fraud. What are you doing now? It's going to get him another 10 years. No, absolutely not. But it wasn't. It was Tim. It was Tim, the investor, setting Callum up to sort of break into his house along with Ian and Kathy. He realises there's a camera there, gets out quick. Kathy's the world's greatest getaway driver. Ain't no way Julian Telforth was driving that car, by the way. It's probably the same person that did Max and Jack's getaway driving, not getaway driving, but driving back to Walford when Max returned. It's too fast. Just, yeah, okay, because how's Kathy learned to drive like that? Tim's obviously now got leverage over Callum and Johnny even more. And when things don't go his way again, he then basically blackmails Johnny into sleeping with him so that he won't go to the police about Callum breaking in. So, what? Why again? This is EastEnders. I know you think you're doing something here, but why are we here again? Like, this is so meh. Like, just, and Linda kind of gets dragged round into it, so something will probably happen there. Do I think? And Johnny does it. Johnny goes and sleeps with him. It's not going to shut him up. It's never going to be enough. This guy gets what he wants, clicks his fingers, and he's like, yeah. What? Oh, I'm sorry for the silence on this, but... And Johnny does it, gets drunk. No, Johnny does it, then tries to sleep with Callum, but can't go through with it. Goes and gets drunk at Harry's barn. No one's telling me. I need to look this up. Goes and gets drunk in front of Gina. Gina kind of realises something's up and calls Elaine. She comes to get him. I think it's interesting that Gina called Elaine and not Linda. But then I think Gina has always had that more closeness to Elaine as a stepmother. Please come get my step ex-nephew. Yeah, that's what he was, right? Yeah. See, this is what we talked about last week. EastEnders is so, with blended families, that is so messed up. So messed up. I just don't think Tim's going to go away anytime soon. Really don't. He needs someone telling him to stop. And no one's going to do that because he's got too much money. And then lastly, I suppose, what I totally enjoyed, Monday's episode, was everyone sat around having a dinner. And there were lots of different parts of that Brannan family. You had Max's lot. So Lauren, Peter, Oscar, Denise, Chelsea, Ricky, and Amy wasn't there. I don't know why. I'm possibly going to say this was filmed around maybe Christmas time and she was in Panto. And that's probably why I've seen less of Phil over the past week or so. Because it would have been sort of that kind of time. I know that they can do both. I suppose it's easier. Lily, Ricky, and who have I missed? No, I think that was about it. Max and Jack. So they're all sat around having a Sunday dinner. Jack's cooked apparently, but then everybody's bought snacks and wine and crisps and beer, and out of the bags falls a pregnancy test. And Jack being, oh my God, I've got to jump to every conclusion. Is this yours, Denise? Da, 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 da. Just put it away and pretend you haven't seen it. It's none of your business, Jack. It's none of your business. Then they all come to the conclusion that it's Lily's. It's not Lily's. It's Penny's. She speaks up. It's not Chelsea's either, because she's ill. And then Lily's throwing up because she's eating a wasabi pea. So Penny speaks up. It's hers. Jack flies off the handle because, I don't know how many times we have to go over the guilt that Jack feels for Penny's accident. And even though they talk about the guilt they feel, they never really push through it and move on. And he he never learns as much as Max does. Like, he just can't seem to get over that fact and just be happy for his daughter. Like, and just do whatever she wants. Just chill out, man. He's so, like, oh, yeah, just chill out. So, yep, so it's Penny's, Vinny's the dad. Vinny finds out through Oscar later on, and then kind of uses Harry as someone to confide in and ask questions to, and because Vinny lacks any other sort of meaningful friendships on the square because of the way he behaves around others and the way his family have acted in the past. There's never really been anyone for him to make alliances with, have friendships. Like, he's never had that. So Harry is his closest, and that could be good for Harry. Like, a little Vinny, Harry, Kojo. Yeah, why not? Like, you've got your Ians and your Harveys and your Alfies. Harry, Vinny, Kojo. Yeah, okay. That could work. So they go see there's a lot of toing and froing about whether Penny's going to have it. Penny confides in Lauren that she says, you don't see people like me having babies. When was the last time you saw someone? Now, I'm sure there are lots of women out there who have babies in wheelchairs. That's not the problem, but it's about bringing them to light, speaking about the issues they have. One of the ones that Penny comes across is that when she goes to see the doctor with Vinny, the doctor spends a lot of his time talking to Vinny and not to her, which is, it just felt so outdated. And yeah. But Vinny also speaks up and says, why are you looking at me when you say this? She's the one having the baby. You should be talking to her. Like, sorry, what is this? What in the 1970s are you talking about? Or 1950s? So they kind of come to a thing that they want to have this baby together. They don't know much about each other. And Penny confides. I say confides a lot. I know. Penny confides that a lot of the sarcasm and humour that she kind of brushes off, as well with anger, is just a way of masking what she's truly feeling. She's hiding behind that. She's worried. She just wants a normal life. She wants a family, and that looks like it's going to be with Vinny. And it's nice. They've got sort of Penny and Vinny, Harry and Gina as well. They come in later, and it's just, it's really sweet. Does that mean, I think a lot of us are thinking that this baby is the baby Ethan that we saw in the flash forward? Because the timings would be about right. So what happens to Penny? What happens to Vinny? Why is Jack looking after this baby? I'll be sad if we lose Penny. I think she's a good addition, a good dynamic to the square. We'll see how it goes in the next 9 months. But I think that just about wraps up EastEnders. Is there anyone? I feel I've missed someone, but again, it's been the 4 with a few more interactions, and I think what EastEnders is struggling to do is that the storylines they're doing aren't really crossing over with one another. Like, I'll talk later, and I did make a video about this yesterday, that things like Emmerdale, because they are getting less airtime, a lot of the characters are being put together in one scene, whether that's the pub, the cafe, to discuss the others and kind of throw around theories and ideas. But it means that they're on screen and they're talking. And I don't think we're seeing enough of that within EastEnders. There's not enough chatting within a community point, like the cafe, like the pub. Like, you've got the points. You've got 1, 2, you've got 3 bars essentially. You've got Harry's, Albert, and the Vic. You have 3 bars within a small area, and the cafe, and the square itself, and just the thoughts amongst others are not being crossed over enough. Naturally, I mean, it comes to a point where maybe you're forcing it, but you have to think wider and think, how can we cross these over and make it more natural? I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting. I don't know how other people feel, but that's where I think EastEnders should be going. But that's maybe for another time. Okay, we'll move on to Emmerdale. Okay, so Emmerdale has been very much bear heavy. He's still living with the trauma of everything that he went through with Ray and Celia. Although he feels that that time was maybe normality for him because he had a job, he was working, they fed him, but he hasn't really come to realise that he wasn't a free man. Like, you could do that and still be free. You could be at home with your family and go to work on that farm, just like they do on Moira's farm. So there's that element. He's still working through that, and a lot of people are trying to talk to him. They, Mandy and Paddy is still trying to talk to him and encourage him to see his counsellor again, and I really do think that helped. Laurel, he comes out of the house and Laurel is discussing going to see Ray before his burial. I think some of the scripting got confused this week, that people thought that they'd been to bury Ray, but they didn't. They went to see him in the Chapel of Rest. So she's discussing that with Charles and Claudette. Claudette stupidly opens her mouth to Bear, even though Paddy's tried to shield him from the fact that this is happening to Ray this week, and says, "Are you got?" And he's like, "What? You're burying Bear?" So Laurel invites him along. There's absolutely no right or wrong here. Laurel thought she was doing good. Paddy didn't. Bear would have probably gone anyway, even if you'd said, "No, you can't go." He probably would have escaped and managed to track him down. Like, it would have happened. This way, he was kind of supervised, share the load sort of thing. But does it help? No. And yes. There's definitely some sort of closure for Laurel, and I think she's absolutely right when she says she's going to support the little boy that vulnerable little boy who was kind of caught by a predator, Celia, because he was just as vulnerable as Dylan and April had been at the stages of their life, and it just went on a different trajectory and didn't have the right people around him to get him out of that. And she still feels that maybe she could have saved him and made him face justice and he wouldn't have died. Absolutely. One of them would have done, though. She maybe could have saved him, but there was enough people gunning for him that day that it was bound to be one of them. So it kind of gives a little bit of closure to her in that respect. Does it for Bear? Not so much. He turns to drink. But everyone's so judgy with him about it. Like, I get that he's caning it. It's a crutch. But he's not being offered much else. Like, he does... Yes, the counselling's there, but the last time we saw a counsellor, he ended up in a police interview room. So the connotations there aren't great. What else is he being offered? Not a lot. Of course, he's still in a drug withdrawal as well. Like, that's not really been addressed. There's nothing. He's not been put on any replacement for the opiates, for the drugs that Ray was plying him with to sort of placate him and keep him pain free and not complaining. Like, no one's offering any alternative. They're just like, "Oh yeah, you'll get over it," and he's not sleeping, and the horrors are there. And Manpreet's right; she couldn't prescribe any sleeping pills really, but I'm sure she wanted to. She wants to help, but so he's going to turn to alcohol. And the way he was treated in the shop, you think he was just going to stand there in the shop and buy them. Sorry, does no one else in that shop buy them in an afternoon to drink later? Like, what? Like, that's none of your business. Why are you treating Bear any differently? And this is the thing, he's kind of being treated different and he knows it. And then they talk about him, but then they're like, "Hi Bear, we'll help you." So Aaron, I think, is Aaron this week spoke to him or last week? I am getting really confused because there's a lot of scenes where they're just coming around to speak to Bear. So he's already spoken to Ruby. Aaron's also discussed with him about sort of their traumas. And then Laurel also comes to speak to him after they've been to see Ray. At one point, I did think Paddy was going to walk in and think that Laurel was getting drunk with Bear, but she manages to pour it all away or put it away. But then he gets out, and where he's punched the mirror, he's hurt himself, so he ends up at the hospital. That's quite a noisy, bright place. Things are going to be confusing. You know, he has had a drink at that point. He's not sobered up as much, but he does his signature move on Jacob. Jacob manages to break free just about in time, but Jacob's not had a great day of it anyway, because the trauma of his mum coming into hospital, when he sees Laurel come in, and we'll get onto that, like, that sets him off, but he's not having a great day. So Paddy and Mandy speak to Bear and say, you know, the police are going to come, they're going to want to speak to you because of what's happened in a psychiatric department. Now maybe he does need a bit of a hospital stay, just I don't know. No one has the answers for Bear. Prison probably isn't going to do him any good. It was self-defense, really, because Ray was attacking Dylan and Paddy and everything that he'd done to Ray. So there's that. It's just really sad. I don't what the alternatives are. So yeah, but like I said, Laurel had come into hospital because after she talked to Bear, she'd gone home, had an argument with Arthur, and he'd pushed her and she'd hit her head on the bottom of the step. I've been waiting all week for her to turn around and go, I wish we never swapped you back. Because that's all going on. It's very strange to see in the afternoons on classic Emmerdale at the moment that it's the whole Daniel dying storyline and finding out that Arthur, who at that time belonged to Mel and Greg, is actually Laurel and Ashley's baby. So it's like, I'm just waiting for someone to drop in. I wish I'd never swapped you back. Because the way he's acting, yeah, so do I. What the hell? So Laurel's not in a good place either. Will she tell Gabby what's going on? We don't know. Another part would be Kane and Sarah. I mean, I don't know how... There's quite repetitive scenes with Kane and Sarah this week. It's like, are they going to rob a car? Sarah kind of wants the dopamine hit before the baby comes, but she's also trying to do it to, like, make Kane feel like the man that he once was. It just doesn't... And how many times has Kane got to say, I'll do it on my own, I'll do it... Like, listen to the man. Like, we talk about setting boundaries and talking, but if Kane doesn't want to, then that's Kane's prerogative, and the more you don't listen and think you know best, the more he's going to push you away. Like, just give the man space. And I will say again, with the scenes that Emmerdale's doing so well at the moment are these group scenes, and earlier in the week, the roof, well, a random tree, I don't even know why that tree was right next to a barn like that, it was so random, but a tree had fallen on a barn full of sheep, and it took, let me count, Kane, Mac, Sarah, Vinny, Lewis, Matty. Am I there? About 6 of them? Yeah. To get this tree and all its bits with the tractor off the barn, and the sheep escaped. And that was lovely. And it led to Lewis and Vinny having their first kiss. Lovely. Lovely stuff. We love to see it. They're actually quite cute together. Yeah. Do I think there could have been more people there? Where was Aaron? Where was Robert? Where has Robert gone? Very Robert-liked. Now Victoria's gone. Not much for him to do. Be interested to see what they do with him in the future. No, you couldn't. I suppose you couldn't have called Liam, but Liam's always around, not doing work when he should be. So this one time, yeah. But yeah, the 6, they were all there getting this tree off. It was a nice few scenes to have, and hopefully that'll placate there. We never see the farming crew side of things. Like, there's a farm, there's some sheep. It did sound like there were more sheep in there, but there weren't, and we had that. And I think it just showed to Kane that, you know, to get these things done, he has to work as a team, and people are going to be there for him. But that's not going to happen overnight with Kane. It never will do. Like, that's not the world that he was brought up in. That's not him. That's not his family. It is for the younger ones, but it's not for the older ones. So yeah, so they steal a car, but the police nearly catch them. Hopefully, maybe the police will turn up next week. They'll go probably one step too far with things, and it won't end well. And Jacob's struggling, and then Sarah will end up in trouble. Yeah. But he's still not really told Moira the full story. She's not having a great time of it in prison. It's interesting that we haven't seen any of her fellow prison mates. Where in Corrie we've seen Debbie with Lou, and no, name's gone again. I'm never going to remember that name. With Lou and Amelia's mum from Emmerdale in there. We haven't seen any of Moira's prison mates. Whether we will, I don't know. We don't have to, but it's always something that's kind of done, and it hasn't this time, and I wonder why. Who's in there? Is Mina in there? That would be fun. Imagine if it's Mina doing all this to Moira. Imagine. Probably not, but a girl can dream. Anyway, then we've got all the Joe, Graham, Kim, because Graham has obviously found out that Kane's got cancer and become an ally for Kane, but is not saying anything to anyone else. But when Joe tests his loyalty, it proves that Graham is actually not more loyal to Kane, but he's not doing things the way Joe wants to. And Kim's like, you've got to get rid of him then. But Graham's kind of doing it for Kane and trying to protect Joe because he knows Joe is going too far with his vendetta to get Moira's farm in order to please Kim. So it's kind of like this three triangle thing, and there's this scene between Graham and Kim that like it popped. It was so like, yeah. He was like, I know you want me, you know. You did. This is how you act. I know you, Kim. Like this is how you are. So, yeah, that was good to see. I've touched on Vinny and Lewis. The plan didn't come together as Ross hoped, but they did get together after the whole sheep incident, and it also highlighted Lewis's autism. That the next morning when they got up, Vinny thought he was being given the brush off, but it was not. It was that Lewis was focused on, I'm late, I need to get to work, I can't be doing with anything else right now, that is it. And it sounds like you're being rude, but you're not. That is your full focus. And yeah, I been there, done that. That's what you're focusing on, and you don't realise that that's how others are perceiving it, because that's all you can see, because that's how your brain is firing. It's like, we've got to get to work, we're late, I'm dashing out of here. It doesn't know any different. So it'd be good to see how Lewis's autism plays with the relationship, and yeah, and it just adds another. I suppose he's not a Barton, but being Ross's brother now with a dingle. I mean, that family, it adds another crossover to like the whole Ross and Mac being kind of related but kind of not, friends. Moira and Kane bringing that part of the family together. Charity and Mac, like, yeah, okay, right, cool. You're related to a Barton? Yeah, you have to be with a dingle then. Sorry, that's the way it goes. Okay. And I actually would like to see Cammy move into that house. I don't know why you just can't anyway. All these houses got like 6 million bedrooms. It happens in all the others. Maybe Cammy could move into where Vic was living. Like, that would be an interesting dynamic with Robert, because he'd just be round the corner. Yeah, do that. Or Robert move? Yeah, he can move in with Matty. Is Matty at the farm? Is Matty at the house? Who's actually in Victoria's house? Who needs to live there? I think Cammy. But we will see. But I think that kind of wraps up Emmerdale. Like I say, it's been interesting with these whole kind of group scenes within the calf, within the pub. More so the calf. And it uses those characters who aren't getting storylines to have their say on what's going on within the village, because obviously we're getting half an hour less each week than we were, but we've still got the same amount of actors and characters. I think that's what's happening. I'm a little bit fixated on this, so if someone tells me I'm wrong, fine. If that's not what's happening, but that's how I see it. So if you feel the same, please let me know. And we'll move on to Coronation Street. So, Corrie. Are we any closer to finding out who the body is going to be in April? It's been a very Jodie heavy week this week. We found out that... We'll start with Jodie. Fine. I wasn't going to. Yeah, we will. We'll start with Jodie. So Jodie, it's been a very Jodie heavy week. It's come to light that she's the one that's cut a circle, cut Bernie's face out of her wedding picture. Now, I'm obviously not paying enough attention because how did she get in? How did she do it? The viewer was led to believe, as Bernie was, that it was Mal doing this because he's, again, just a very strange character. I still believe there was never an Alice in Inverness, that never existed. Is he in cahoots with Jodie? Is he something to do with Bernie's past life? Is Jodie something to do with Bernie's past life? What, or does she just have it in for people around her? You know, Bernie has a bit of happiness. Bernie has a family, and obviously she works with her at the calf. But Jodie's done this. She's taken the circle, the Bernie's face out of the picture and made her quite scared. She's also then, when Shona treats her to like a pamper date at Audrey's, so Maria's there, Bethany's there, Jodie and Shona. What is wrong with me? Shona's wedding ring goes missing, and Bethany, being the journalist, you know, the investigative one that she is, and she's a bit like Sarah in this way, because Sarah clocked on with about Lisa and Carla and everyone, and Becky a couple of weeks ago, and Bethany's very much the same. So Bethany's like, I feel like Jodie had something to do with that, and then she was the one that just happened to find it at home. No, it definitely went missing at the salon. Like, not a fan. So she's kind of onto her. She sends her out to take Lily to the cinema, but Jodie manages to, I've booked an 18. Oh no. So she sabotages Shona and David's date night in that respect as well. And then she's got this locket, and then this random kid turns up that apparently she maybe used to look after or was a stepmom to. I didn't understand that. This kid it was so random that she was just there. It's just things aren't being filled in, or I'm just not paying enough attention and I'm missing things. I will pay better attention, but what am I missing here? This is all been very random with Jodie, and I hope it all comes to a head and makes complete sense. Like, what is going on? Is she going to be the body? Because she also had an interaction with Betsy where Betsy kind of introduced herself to her and was like, oh yeah, I'm your neighbour next door. Like, we've not really spoken, but it was like, okay, so we need that, because then Betsy will know whose body it is that she finds if it's Jodie's. Possibly. Will she have any other interaction? Like, she doesn't really know Megan, as far as I'm aware. So will there be that as well? They've all kind of got to introduce themselves to Betsy at some point. Will that be just a weekly thing? You know, how will that work? We've had it with Jodie. Has she also taken Brian's book? Like, she seems to be in the cabin at the right times when he's talking about it. She kind of fixed up Hope, framed Hope for taking it, sort of thing. Like, did she take that as what? She's just a kleptomaniac? What's going on? What's in that box? That box of stuff? Are they just from her victims? Is this what that is? So all very random, all making absolutely no sense whatsoever with her. We'll see. Again, as I touched on, Bernie has kind of been harassed by Mal all week. Just a very strange character. Just bizarre at some stages. Then it's found that he's been attacked and it's led him to cardiac arrest. He's in intensive care. He's not dead by the end of the week, but it's not looking good. And Bernie is arrested by quite a new copper. We've not seen this one before, Browning. An over-enthusiastic copper who brings her in for questioning. That was quite well done, because we'd seen Kit at the hospital and he'd seemed quite shocked, like, cardiac arrest, oh my god, attacked, oh my god. And it didn't play into my mind. Now, it played into my mum. My mum was like, he did it. He attacked him. And I was like, what? Nah. And then it does it. It came to light that Kit attacked Mal. I'm stupid on this. Obviously, I was not on the ball with this. And Kit confides in Sarah that he did it. And she's like, why have you dragged yourself into this mess? It's like, well, because he's your boyfriend, Sarah. This is what they do. They bring the drama to your door. What's he going to do? he's back on the case, so he could just make it go away, sort of thing. There's no evidence that Bernie did it, but he stupidly brings up the CCTV of the shop, but he didn't know anything about that. And Bernie kind of realises, I never mentioned that, so what have you done? Like, okay. She makes things up with Dev. That's not, and it's as she's making up with Dev that she gets arrested. So she's back on track there. And bless her, she was struggling with her grief. She did try and be honest. Nothing happened. This guy is a nutcase. More needs to be looked in with him. And it also brings to light that when women report things, it's never taken seriously and stuff like this happens. So there we go. I'm not saying they all get beaten up by other policemen who happen to be the mothers of the victims, but it brings that to light, doesn't it? And then we've got a George storyline at the moment. So an ex-client of his, let's say, has left him, and it feels wrong to use the word inheritance, but she's left him a sum of money in a will. Her daughter's contesting that, saying that he tricked her into doing that. We know that's not true for George's part. Do I believe Christina's not part of a massive con? She well could be. She has got form. Like, she's not doing herself any favours, keep pushing him to, no, you should have that money, la la la. Like, what are you up to? You keep putting your foot in it. He has another client, sort of one who's sorting out for her sister. She just dies on him there and then the sister's son comes along and he's going to sort everything out. And then the daughter of the one who's left George the money, she's there shouting all things like, and Adam just puts up with it. Adam just lets her say these things, and I'm thinking, feels kind of slanderous for you to be doing this in the street. It's all in front of Tim. He sees everything, and everyone's questioning whether George's motives. Now, we know this isn't true. Do I trust Christina? No. Is Todd going to be any help? No. Is Theo going to be any help in this? No. He's probably going to make out that Todd is behind it and sort of make Todd look bad, and it's just going to be messy, just really, really messy. But yeah, Christina's not doing him any favours here at all whatsoever. To be interesting, and I don't know whether this storyline going to play into the 5 bodies. I don't know how, but it feels something, or is it just a side offshoot storyline for George, just to give him some things going on there? And it also brings Glenda away from the pub, because she was at the funeral home and she is part of this by name. And then they've given us some sort of light that we know is going to be shaded, because Jim, as far as we're aware, is in hospital. He's not speaking to Andy at this point either. Andy's had nothing to do with him for years. At one point he does try and ring Steve, but he doesn't seem to see it, because he goes to a behind the scenes county thing with Ben and Tim. And good on Ben for also inviting Tim, because Tim, you're still being petulant at this stage, and Ben's invited you, just be a little friendship group. Like I said last week, stop being so Jeff about this, and just be cool, and be happy. And Steve's like, oh no, I'm going to do. I've been so happy, la la la. And you think, yes, it's not going to end well. And by the end of the week, through some help from Mary, Cassie has decided she's going to propose to Steve. Love, this man's been married 7 times to 5 partners. Really? You really think you're the love of his life and it's all going to go well? Absolutely not. No way. Not a cat in hell's chance. Jeez. And they're still living with Tracy. She could sabotage your wedding at any given point, seeing as you're under the same roof. And she will. You think you're getting flowers from her? Mary's been your biggest ally. When Tracy finds out that Mary's behind this, she's going to be livid. Absolutely livid, and do everything in her power to stop this. You've just engaged. You're not just going to get engaged to Steve. You've just been engaged to Tracy as well. She's going to go into full Tracy mode. Absolutely. So it's going to be messy. And I'm kind of with Tracy on this. Cassie's like, oh, you should speak to your dad. And it's like, love, you don't even know him. You don't know the things he's done. You've not even met his mother. What? You don't know the history here. This man, they all have issues. He was abusive to Liz, horrible to his sons. There was that whole secret daughter. Was it secret daughter? Like, yeah, just absolutely mad. Some of the things that have gone on with the McDonald family, and gosh, you've no idea. You think the Barlows are bad? You look into the McDonald history. We'll catch you up. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, I think that's about Corrie. I don't know what else I've missed. I feel like I have missed something. Gone through. No, I think that's about it. There's not been much Debbie stuff this week. It's still the things going on with Carl and getting her to give money to Carl, and so it kind of keeps him in the frame. You know, it might be his body at the end of at the end of April. We shall see. We'll see where it goes next week and who we kind of focus on. Because I feel it's going to go in rotation. That, yeah, there we are. Okay, so that should lead. I feel like I've skipped something though. So please tell me if I have. Right, this week's soap swap, I would like to know which shop you'd rather... I'm not going to swap. I just want to know which shop you'd rather have on your street. Would you rather have the Minute Mart from EastEnders, the Cabin from Coronation Street, or David/Eric's shop? Okay? Which one, or which one would work better? I don't think David's could work elsewhere, but if you put the Cabin into Albert Square, what could happen? Like, you could have Kat coming in to buy a quarter of cola cubes from Rita. How would that end up? If you were to put the Minute Mart in Emmerdale, just to be a bit of competition, something more a bit up to date with what they do. Like Tracy was moaning this week in Emmerdale that the footfall wasn't great in the evenings. Fair. Like, there's only so many people there. It's such a random place to have a shop. Does it need a bit of competition? Will Emmerdale ever grow as a village? You know, housing developments are going up all the time. They've tried to block them in the past, but do we need that? Do we need something a bit more substantial to help increase footfall to the shop? Is that what's going to happen is that what Kim's wants to do with the land? Who knows? Build some houses. It's been a while. So I think the last lot was maybe the King developments when the house blew up. Then there's not really been much since, but I could be wrong. Happy to be wrong. So yeah, how do we increase footfall? Do we move a few shops around? Which one would you move from soap to soap? So yeah, which shop would you have where? Okay, please. You know, you can contact us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and you can email at outinthewash.pod@gmail.com. It's been great to hear from you. This has been episode 8. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week.